It's the international break, and we're seeing Lewis Skelly, David Raya, Mikel Merino, Declan Rice, and probably a couple of others, Magalhaes, all jetting off to play for their countries. Party where Ghana's concerned. All of you lot, wrap yourselves up in cotton wool, please, because we've got Fulham, Real Madrid, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Bournemouth, Anfield. Real Madrid in the Champions League. We've got some tough games, whether we want to talk about trophies or not. But during the international period, there's nothing else other than gossip, really, as we're in March, season soon done in like what, just over 2 months, and then it's just all transfer nonsense. Now we want to keep William Saliba. Real Madrid are onto him. We need to win trophies. He's a colossal of a defender, and he's only going to get better. And I would say first season, so 2022, 23, obviously he's been here longer than 3 years, but the 3 years he's been a proper Arsenal player, not on loan at Nice and Marseille. And actually, when we bought him and loaned him back to St. Etienne, since he's been here in these 3 years, I think the first year you was up there, second year you was up there. This year you've been down there, which is still a level above a lot of people, but you get the point. I think he had some shaky moments in the Chelsea game, or a shaky moment, but I'd say in the last couple of games, you've shown your quality. Man United away as well. And we know we need to give him a contract. We know there's a lot to be said about strikers and left wingers and centre mids and left backs and goalies and who's leaving the club. Keeping our talented players, which Saliba and Saka in particular, at 23 years of age, they're only 23. We need to keep them. Not naive to think they're going to be here their whole lives, but you get the point. Romano said, I don't expect big movements for William Saliba this summer. Internally at Real Madrid, they're monitoring the player. He's considered the Bellingham of defenders, but that is normal, appreciating a player like Saliba. At the same time, there is Arsenal. He still has 2.5 years left on his contract. There is no urgency. It's not a dangerous situation for Arsenal. It's not, but we need to move quickly. What you don't want is going into the summer of 2026, which is a World Cup year, which he'd have a year left on his deal. Obviously, Real Madrid are probably tapping him up. Not only you don't even need to be tapped up by Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid who have a great history of French players. And in the present day, bag of French players there. They're probably texting him. Kylian Mbappe is not only his international teammate, and I hope you pocketed him when we played Real Madrid in them both legs. They're boyhood friends. So I agree there's not urgency, but there has to be a sense of urgency. And you'd imagine when Berta signed for this club, if he hasn't signed officially, he was briefed on, the business we're already undertaking, that he'll have to dot I's and cross T's, obviously getting rid of players. And at some point in the office at London Coley, there had to be William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Bukayo Saka contracts. And maybe actually because in the summer, the likes of Trossard and Zini only have a year left on their deal. Berta will work on a new contract for Saliba to explain the project, the long-term view, the ambition, and discuss numbers in terms of a contract with the player. They want him to be a crucial part of the project. 5-year deal, man. 4 years with an option of another. I would love for us to take a leaf out of Chelsea's book where they're just putting guys on 8-year deals, really. I'd love for Saka, Saliba in particular to be on that, but you can't have everything. He's also spoken, that is Fabrizio Romano, about Isak. I don't think we're signing Isak, but the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts. Big, massive proposals will come to the table for Isak. Arsenal will be there. Liverpool also there for Arsenal. He's the absolute top target. Sesko is the other name on the list. For Liverpool, he's one of the names they're considering. Need big bucks. Need massive bucks. He is the absolute top target, whereas Liverpool view him as just one of the names they're considering. He's going to cost a lot of money. You'd need, for me, a lot of the dominoes. Newcastle would have to get out the Champions League or not qualify for the top 5 spaces, in which that gives us stuff. Newcastle are going to have to want to have some degree of selling him. So we're going to have to not only place an offer, but do it in favorable terms that they find realistic. It all depends how you bid 130 million. Are the variables realistic? And Isak would have to say, yo, I want to go, but he's got 3 years left on his deal. I don't think there's a rush to leave Newcastle. Yes, if the bigger teams want you, but they've ended their 7-year trophy drought. Eddie Howe has done a lot for that club, from fighting relegation to flirting with Champions League on a consistent basis. When PSR, they can get around that. They've got an owner who's got the money and willing to do it. And I actually love that for Newcastle, considering the Mike Ashley days. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately, people. And there's actually some other, let me skip past because keeping up with the Isak stuff. David Ornstein said on Partey and Jorginho leaving Arsenal this summer. It's not settled yet, as far as I'm aware, but a very good chance it may be influenced by the status of potential arrivals. I've done a lot of streams today, man, but they're therefore, I'd tab police look away. I mean, do we need a striker? We've got Merino, considering he's played up front. He's got 5 goals to his name. That's level with Saka. He's equaled his best goal scoring seasons in that regards. And he's got 3 goals in the Premier League since becoming our number 9. Only the Egyptian pair, Omar Marmoush with 4 and Mohamed Salah with 5, have scored more in that time. So maybe there's a new position Big up Timber people. Big up Saliba as well. Shout out Odegaard. Tab Police. You see how you lot need to smash the like button. You see how I make sure there's consistent support for you lot on the channel and you're never bored, people. Josh Kroenke was at Arsenal versus Chelsea. He's been frequently pictured in London in the last just over 2 months, really and truly. We're getting briefed about war chest. Andrea Berta is apparently going to start. You're seeing the chairman. Maybe the season ticket renewals are due soon, people. We're hearing we've got 300 million to play with, and we've got healthy financial results. We're also told Zubamendi and Gomares are both under consideration, but Ornstein is already confirming what we know in that obviously, signing both isn't feasible, especially Gomares. You'd have him and Merino on long-term contracts at 28. Now, I wouldn't care where Gomares is concerned because obviously he's a quality player. This is interesting because Arsenal prepared to sell a notable player in a bid to raise funds for summer rivals. Notable, what does that mean? Because notable in theory could mean Gabriel Magalhaes, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, them kind of players there. Or it could mean Zinchenko or Trossard, who have a year left on their deal and every option has to be on the table. So I'm not too sure. Even Kivior, who will get into. I am not condemning or endorsing AFC Camden, but apparently Newcastle want 130 million for Isak if they are to sell. And allegedly, according to him, he understands Isak favours a move to Arsenal over Liverpool if he decides to leave Newcastle this summer. Come, man, play with Odegaard and Merino and that, man. Can you take Merino's spot up front? Likely to push for a move if they miss out on Champions League football. Arsenal prepared to pay 100+ million. Still got to try, and even if they don't get Champions League football, even though I think Newcastle is shooing, I think Liverpool, Arsenal, I know they're fifth, but Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Newcastle. Fifth is debatable. I think Forest could do it, but the Forest and the Villas, they're doing their thing. Mathematically, Chelsea could do it, but they lost to Arsenal, in which they could have drawn parity. And if you're Nottingham Forest or anyone in and around the top five, you're licking your lips at Chelsea's next run of fixtures. 23 goals. How lovely would that be? Imagine Isak up front, Saka on the right, and next left winger like Nico Williams. You got the Trossards potentially, Trossard, Kai Havertz, and Martinelli waiting in the wings. Look at the way Isak's looking at Henry as well, man. You want to make the move, my done. Should we go for Julian Alvarez if Liverpool are going for him? If we cannot get Isak, I don't imagine. I think he's got the perfect club. I mean, the man's completed football anyways. Plus, he's in sunny Spain, which is probably closer aligned to the way of life in Argentina. Would you want to rock up in England after only a year? Despite the red flags that come with Chelsea's willingness to loan Raheem Sterling to a London club, Mikel Arteta still personally pushed for the signing in the final days of the summer. We'll get into that. We're still linked with Sane, who's prepared to take a wage cut, allegedly to sign for us. Arsenal, United, and Juventus will all try to sign Osimhen this summer. He has a 63 million release clause. Arsenal have made contacts with the reps of Nico Williams over a potential move in the summer. Arsenal will do everything they can to keep William Saliba, which they should be. We've gone over the party stuff. Arsenal have been linked with Darwin Núñez. Apparently, Liverpool will consider selling him in the summer, and Arteta is interested. Now, I don't believe this publication, and I mean, after the duds we've been sold by a couple of clubs, we have to tread carefully. Only took December off, but from December to March, we're back scoring set pieces. Since the start of last season, Arsenal have scored more goals from corners than any other team in the Premier League. 11 of those have opened the scoring, which is also a league high total in this period. So yeah, big us up. Shout out Lewis Skelly for getting the England call up. We've gone over the Saliba thing. We've gone over Isak. So yeah, we'd love him to be the top target. I mean, come on, Arsenal. If this is true, and Manchester City will have to pay at least 70 million for Camavinga, I say we do that. Camavinga is an all-action midfielder. I don't want him to play left back, but he has, and it wouldn't be too far-fetched. Mikel Arteta putting him there. Let's start our own French revolution, man. When PSG are ready to sell Doué, Saliba, we're getting the lads around, man. Don't worry, it's wavy here, man. So, yeah, we might have to sell a notable players we've gone over. Manchester United are apparently looking at Hugo Ekitike, Benjamin Sesko, and Victor Gyökeres, as well as Osimhen. We've been linked with all of these strikers. Now, if I'm honest, I think of these names, I think Sesko's high up the priority list. I think Isak is the improbable, impossible dream. Then you've got Sesko. I actually think Hugo Ekitike is probably higher on the list than a Gyökeres or a Osimhen. I think them two strikers would obviously make a great impact at the club, but it's more paper-led. I don't know what it is with Osimhen, and I don't mean this in a disingenuous way, but you can't go from being linked with Arsenal, Manchester United, slightly even Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, and then go Galatasaray on loan, especially when Napoli thought they were going to sell you, and you look like to be one of the strikers that or one of the players, better yet, in world football that would have, it felt like you would have moved very early in the summer. But it just tells you rumors and actually what's going on are two different things. But then I look at it, I think Osimhen's a great player. But is there some sort of concern, whether it's with the player, injuries? I'm just making things up here, agent fees and all the money around it. Is there something that put all of these clubs off? Because I'm pretty sure he didn't bet that he'd be at Galatasaray. It's a bit like Ivan Toney. Obviously, Saudi Arabian money is crazy what Tony's getting. But there was a case. Tony was in with Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs before they signed Solanke, Man United, and you didn't end up at any of these. And he was another one that couldn't stop talking about wanting to try elsewhere. Allegedly, Liverpool will go all out to sign Rodrigo as a replacement for Salah. Come on, man. Liverpool's a great club, but the area is not. Come live in London, man. Come and join us, man. Come and join us. You know me, I like a defender. Mikel Arteta likes one more than me. According to TBR Football, Arsenal are considering a move for Ajax's 19-year-old defender Hato, despite the emergence of Lewis Skelly at left back. I mean, Lewis Skelly's an option, can play in centre mid. Hato could be a centre half long term as well as a left back. The last lad we bought from Ajax was okay. Jorrel Hato at 19, fresh 19 years of age, has captained Ajax and made 100 appearances. We need him. I just don't know how much he's going to cost. And I don't know if Arsenal have 35 all the way to 50 million for a defender where heavy investments needed up front, needed in midfield, and probably off the left. But if there is a few pennies, I'm on that. We've gone over the Hugo Ekitike thing already. In terms of the existing players, Bukayo Saka's target in the Real Madrid clash to be fit. Bukayo Saka is eyeing a comeback in time to face Real Madrid. Saka is on course to return in time for the Champions League quarter-final at the Emirates on Tuesday, April the 8th, 7 days after the first game after the international break, which is Fulham, which would be a welcome boost, man. I'm all on that. We all know he tore his hamstring in December. It's almost been 3 months since we last saw Saka, and he's still one of the top goal scorers and created a lot more chances than Philip Foden. Obviously, he hasn't gone off and played with England, thank the Lord, because there'd be something wrong if Tuchel called him up. Despite the fact that the man's not fit, people. It is still hugely dependent on Saka not suffering any setbacks and everything going smoothly, with Arsenal also determined not to rush his recovery. But if all goes smoothly, then Saka could be back for Arsenal's biggest games of their season against Real Madrid at the Emirates, and then 8 days later will be the tie at the Bernabeu. So it'd be lovely. And obviously we've welcomed back Martinelli. It would also be lovely to bring him. This is completely irrelevant, yeah, but Manchester United's head of medical services, Gary O'Driscoll, is to leave after only 18 months. He was at Arsenal. He joined Man United in September 2023 after 6 years at Arsenal. And, United are just signing anything, Heaven, Obi Martin, Gary O'Driscoll, just everything really and truly. Arsenal, Chelsea, and the Raheem Sterling situation. I mean, let's skip through the toss. We all know he got his third booking of the Champions League in what was a more positive game against PSV in the second leg in an Arsenal shirt, people. It is a microcosm of what has been frustrating stop-start season at Arsenal. The Athletic has spoken to sources at Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City, and those close to Sterling, all of whom have been kept anonymous to protect relationships, to understand more about the situation. We all know Mikel Arteta and Sterling's relationship dates back to his days at Manchester City. He had some of his best seasons, with Pep Guardiola, but working with Mikel Arteta. We all know he went and joined Chelsea, and since then it hasn't worked, people. He struggled. Not all of it's been his fault, but fundamentally, Raheem Sterling struggled. And if there was a player you want it to work for, it's him, innit? Like, for everything he's been through in his life. And he can end his professional career with his head held high, with the longevity and whatever, but everything comes to an end, innit? And for me, I know you could say injuries, not playing, confidence, all of this, but physically, you look finished, innit? Like, you do. For someone that's 30, you shouldn't be the springest of chickens, if that makes sense, but he should be a lot more rapid than that. And I'm not no Weight Watcher or that, but he looks a bit tubby. It's against that backdrop that Arteta believed, like a couple who reignite years after going their separate ways, in the romantic potential of reigniting that spark. That's why you should never go back to your ex. Sterling joined on the basis that Arsenal would provide the stability he's missed at Chelsea, and he arrived in the capacity of an experienced player who could provide an alternative to Martinelli and Saka. We all know he's a winner and he brings depth. We all know it's a relationship of convenience. Wasn't working at Chelsea. They wanted to get rid of you. Whatever we tried to do in the market, it didn't work. We needed to save some element of face and have a body, because if all goes to plan, we don't sign Raheem Sterling on deadline day. Maybe there's a reality where, it's an opportunity for another body after bringing in, I don't know, a Sesko, a Nico Williams, a Zubimendi, this one or that one. But it's all a myth, man. He's only played 5 times. He has started just 10 games this season, and he's only played 307 minutes. He is somewhat of a low-risk operation because there was no transfer fee, allegedly no loan fee. And despite being the highest earner at Chelsea, mad thing, innit, considering all the stuff they're going. They got more money than sense. We only have to pay a minority of his of his shares, people. And yeah, he was discarded by Maresca. I don't think Maresca fancied him, but I also think Maresca was given the mandate that, yo, if you don't want Sterling, we're gonna back it. We know he wants to prove a point. We all know the video we saw on when he signed for us, and I can't mock a man for that. I like that from Sterling, but it hasn't worked. Not having a financial investment in Sterling is perhaps why Arteta was not motivated to prioritize and giving him enough match time to get up to speed. It could have been disregarded as a worthwhile punt that did just not work out, but the scrutiny of the transfer increased when Havertz suffered a sustained season-ending hamstring tear in February. As we know, we all know the loan market, it didn't really work for us. There were no indications about ending Sterling's loan early and no clause to allow an early termination either. Recalling Sterling was an option for Chelsea. Chelsea's got short of options, blah, blah, blah. Chelsea are planning to sell him in the summer. There's no plan to pay off his contract. So I hope he's able to get his stuff sorted out, man. While Chelsea had to loan him to Arsenal in the last minute of the summer, they would also hope to move him on sooner this coming window. Arsenal's decision to not add a player in January meant there was pressure on Sterling to step up as a regular. He needs an opportunity, man. It just hasn't happened, and we know he was dropped. And it's harsh. Sterling's position in the hierarchy was clear to see. I mean, it is what it is. Tierney's cutting. Ramsdale left. Smith Rowe left, as we know. Feel sorry for Sterling, man. But end of the day, hold your head high, man. One of the midfielders who is not in Arteta's plans. Who's this in relation? Lokonga is keen on leaving Arsenal. We're keen on you leaving as well. Spain is something I've always wanted. So today, being at Sevilla is an opportunity that I have to respect and take seriously. I think I'm in a league that suits me with a team that suits me. So it's up to me to make a difference. I want to stay here. I think this is a club where I can settle in for the long term by staying for 3 or 4 years. Then maybe try another challenge, but I'm certainly fulfilled here. He just loves talking. Allegedly, Real Betis, Villarreal, and Atletico Madrid, as well as Sevilla, are all eyeing him up. He's got a year left on his deal. It is a World Cup year. Do I think you're going off with Belgium? Probably not. They're planning to make an offer of 10 million euros. Apparently, they have a buy option of 12 million euros. So as we knew, naturally you're going to try and bargain that down, people. Calafiori's linked with Real Madrid. I'm not even going to waste time on that. We all know that's some nonsense. Arsenal haven't ended their interest in Ajax defender Jorrel Hato, allegedly, people. Hato position change at Ajax. Although the left-footed predominantly emerged as a centre-back, the position he'll often be watched in by Arsenal when they showed their interest. Fast forward to now, Hato is now regularly appearing for the famous Dutch side as a left back. He's even played as a wing back. That's music to my ears. Bring him in. Bring him in. Simple business. Like, I think he's cold. I won't lie to you. Speaking of defenders and goalkeepers, Sun Sport understands that Arsenal are keeping tabs on Espanyol fullback El Elahi, 21 years of age, who's believed to have a release clause of 12.5 million. And we're also looking at Garcia, who could cost upwards of 25. So we've been linked with El Elahi, Garcia, Zubamendi, Nico Williams, Benjamin Sesko, and maybe even one more. But what's the commonality you're seeing? All of them have a release clause. So that means either you put the money down in full, which isn't going to happen. We get the player and it is what it is. Or we say to these clubs, listen, we know you want 25 million or 12.5 million. What if we give you 13.5 million? But you work with us in terms of the payment terms for our direct debit. So that's probably something there. 5 players who could leave Arsenal. Kivio's been linked with a move away. Tomiyasu. Tommy's not getting sold. The man's not fit. Gabriel Jesus isn't getting sold. The man's not fit. Partey's deal is running down, and Barca and multiple Saudi clubs are interested. Jorginho's still linked with Flamingo, and yeah, man, big him up. He's been in England 7 years. Been at Arsenal for 2.5 years. Would have been nice if he won a Premier League, but it is what it is. Osimhen allegedly is keen on playing in the Premier League. Although Chelsea and Arsenal seem to have cooled their interest in the 26-year-old for the moment, that could easily spark up again should circumstances change only slightly. Potential interest could also arrive from Liverpool and Spurs. Spurs just bought Solanke. I don't know about that, man. I think the Osimhen one is just tabloid talk, if I'm brutally honest, but is what it is. I don't want to give any thought to Darwin Núñez at Arsenal because I can't see it happening. Allegedly, Manchester United have joined the battle to sign Nico Williams, people. Calafiori is still linked with Real Madrid. Barcelona are looking at Kivio. Apparently, I saw that today. And also, the Bellingham of defenders, as we know, is William Saliba. After the departure of Eddie Gaspar, the Gunners are close to completing their big move for sporting director Berta, which, as we should be, we know we lack a lethal attacker and we'd all love Isak. Kivio is reassessing his future at Arsenal this summer with the defender in search of game time. Last summer, the poll attracted Premier League and European inquiries, and Arsenal are now willing to part ways for a reasonable fee. If Zinchenko and Kivio go, as well as Tierney, who's part of the team but not there, and Tomiyasu is out for a year, for me, you need to be bringing Hato to the carpet, if I'm honest with you. And once again, we're still linked with Darwin Noodles, man. So being linked is very different from signing players. But let me know your thoughts and subscribe if you're new here.